Good morning, everyone. We had a wonderful program last night with Bhavani Pranaji, and this morning we have Divyanandaprana, both nuns from Sharadamat. Divyanandaprana is now the editor of Samvit, and I'll mention later, but we're also trying to get some subscriptions for the magazine. We have forms here if anybody would like to subscribe to that. And I mentioned last night what a privilege it is for us to have some of the Matajis from Sharada Math. We unfortunately don't get the chance as monks of the order to mix very closely with the nuns. So it's kind of a rare thing. In fact, we're really not supposed to visit any of their centers. But the things are a little bit looser in this country. And we really enjoy their company so much and so happy that they could come that we really look upon them as the Holy Mother's daughters and even as little smaller versions of Holy Mother herself. So it's a great privilege that they've come here. We're very, very happy they agreed to stay for a few days. And I'm sure everyone will enjoy the talk this morning. The topic is Ramakrishna and Vedanta. And Mataji will speak a little bit and she'll give some time for questions or some discussion afterwards. Yeah, okay. And then afterwards, we invite everyone to have lunch with us also. Okay, please.
Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirkamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. My pranams at the feet of Shri Shri Thakur Ma and Swamiji. Pranams at the feet of Maharaj and Mataji, and namaskars to all devotees. We are very happy to be here indeed. And I really feel like this is Mother's home in the US. It's something so beautiful and everybody is so affectionate. So we especially thank Maharaj for having us here. The topic given to me today is, well, Vedanta. So we are going to discuss Vedanta for the next 1 hour, and Vedanta and Sri Ramakrishna. Now, I will keep, I think, restrict the talk to about 40 or 45 minutes. And after that, we can have question answer session after that. If you want, we can have a longer question answer session. Anyway, Maharaj said that if it exceeds the time, don't worry. And we are available, I think, even the evening and tomorrow, and till day after tomorrow morning, we are here. So we can always continue our discussions later on. So let me start with what Vedanta is about. As you all know, it is a philosophical system. This is how we usually see it. But to the Vedantin, to the actual person who is following the path of Vedanta, it is an existential inquiry. It is the natural thing to do. It is asking the fundamental questions about human life. It is not a thought construct. That comes later on. It was codified. Existential inquiry was codified as a philosophy. It's not just a philosophy. When the question comes originally within you, it becomes your natural thinking, natural way of life. So this is what the rishis actually give out. If you read the Upanishadic text, you will see it's a spontaneous existential inquiry which is coming out of them, and they are finding answers to that just by the power of acute thought. So we will try to do something of that here in the next half an hour. The point is in Vedanta, you see, because you are using vichar as a tool, thought as a tool, it should be very refined and acute, very concentrated. Otherwise, it will not function as a tool. Because in Vedanta, which are in the path of Jnana, we are using thought as the tool to usher us into that state. So let us hope that we will be able to bring our thinking to that level. That is the purpose of all these discussions. You know, in the Uttarakhand, there is a famous saying that one bout of Vedanta Vichar will not go waste, because it will convince your intellect of the reality of existential awareness, and hence the vichar on this subject can never be a waste. It's not just about thinking or cogitation or anything like that. It's a direct penetration into the heart of reality. Vichar is to be made like that. So Vedanta basically has three principles, which I will just state. If I to put it in a nutshell, there are very many things, but to put it in a nutshell, let's say Vedanta is, first of all, it speaks of the divinity of the human soul, the divinity of man. It speaks of the unity of all existence, and it speaks of the truth of superimposition. That is why we are seeing the unity as this manifold universe. Somewhere superimposition has happened. So these three briefly we will discuss what it means with examples. And then you will see that Vedanta is actually existential inquiry leading to existential awareness. It is not even a thought construct. Later on it was made like that. But essentially, it is asking the fundamental questions about life. You see, when we say, "Who am I?" what is the picture that comes to our mind? Usually, it's the body. Now, if I click this congregation and show you the group photo, you are going to look at where you are sitting. You are going to point out to your picture, any one of you, I'm sure, and you are. What is exactly happening at that moment? Please see this. You have tracked yourself in that group picture, and you are seeing yourself. Who is seeing what? Your mind is seeing your body, and your intellect is acknowledging your mind seeing your body. And the whole thing is happening in your awareness. In your awareness, your intellect is seeing your mind seeing your body. So then, who are you? What is more you? Is it the body? Is it the mind? Is it the intellect? Is it the awareness? Fundamental thing about you is awareness. If I put it like this, questions will pop up. But it's in your own experience. You see, you require concentration to think. You require effort to perceive the world of sensations. Just to be self aware, do you need anything? You are always aware. In that awareness, you are thinking and perceiving. This is the fundamental thing that Vedanta is trying to point out. Not make a study of it, not conceptual thinking. This is the fact of your own experience. You know, we traditionally we study Vedanta. It is called phenomenological inquiry in today's philosophy. What it means is, how does anything feel to you? How do you perceive this world? How do you perceive yourself? What is your first person experience of anything? That is phenomenological experience. So then how do I exactly perceive myself? You see, you are barely conscious of your body. Think and see. These are all not, these are Vedantic statements actually, not just thinking. You are barely conscious of your body at any given moment of time. Unless you are made conscious of it, you cannot be conscious of it. You are occasionally identified with your thought process, not all the time. But self aware, you are always. Awareness is essentially you, the rest is external to you. That is why you see your photograph. You acknowledge it as being your body. You, the awareness, are perceiving the whole process of the intellect acknowledging the mind seeing the body. So, this interior view, this understanding from your core standpoint is what Vedanta is giving you, asking you to understand it, that is all. Recognize it and understand it, that is all. If you learn to think in this way, you will clearly see you are always self aware and thinking many times, identified with your thought process, and rarely conscious of the body. This is your experience of yourself at any given moment of time. So that is why Vedanta tells you Brahma Satyam. The reality about you is Brahman. It is consciousness. It is not body mind. You are functioning through a body mind complex. You see how the body is functioning, unless medical science told us, we would not know. Please see this. Unless medical science told you, oh, the liver is secreting bile, and the pancreas are doing this particular function, and the lungs are doing this particular function, from your standpoint, you wouldn't know. Does the heart seek your permission to beat, or the lungs your permission to function? Everything is automatic. From your standpoint, from the phenomenological standpoint, you are only self aware. In that awareness, there is a thought process which you are identified with many a time. And so you have your perceptions and sensations and ideations and the world of objectivity. But the reality of the body, you hardly feel. You're not conscious of the body the most of the time. Suppose some great pain is there in the body, then you become conscious of it. It is usually like that. Now, understanding this, that is why consciousness is the primary part of the human personality. This is what Vedanta tells us. Even logically you can understand. You see, in order to perceive anything or acknowledge the existence of anything, you require consciousness. In your awareness, it is that particular thing. But consciousness itself does not require anything to validate its existence. Please see this. You require awareness to validate the existence of anything around you, in you, your thought process, your emotions, everything. But you do not require anything to validate the existence of awareness. That is why existence is absolute only with respect to the Atman, with respect to awareness or consciousness. That is why it is called absolute existence, Sat. Anything apart from absolute existence must be non-existence, Asat. Can non-existence exist? Now, I'm using a logical format for us to see why the world of manifestation is not of the same order of reality as Brahman. Why is it considered mithya? Because it is not of the same order. Please see this. Existence, absolute, belongs to Brahman. Consciousness, it's in your own experience right now. Because you are aware, you are perceiving. Consciousness is required to validate or to testify to the presence of anything else, to the existence of anything else. But you do not require anything to validate the presence of consciousness or awareness. That is why absolute existence belongs to the Atman, belongs to consciousness, and anything apart from it must be non-existence. But does that mean that everything else is non-existing? No, it's an appearance in that existence. This is how it is taken. It appears to exist as that, but it is actually nothing but, you can say, an extension or of consciousness or a manifestation of that same consciousness. Like, for example, look at this lectern here. These are the common examples used in Vedanta, which in Shankara's literature you will find them again and again. If I ask you the truth about this lectern here, what would you tell me? Is this more a lectern or more wood? If I ask you this question, what would be your answer? More wood? Is this wood or lectern? Lectern. Why? Essentially, it is what? Wood shaped into a lectern, isn't it? Now, you see, the reality here is wood. You cannot have a lectern without wood, but you can have wood without the lectern. So, wood is the reality here. Shaped into a lectern, given a name and a form, and the great utility of this lectern makes it all important to me. But essentially, it is nothing but wood in a particular name and form. Wave is nothing but water in a particular name and form. Your ornaments are nothing but gold in a particular name and form. And you are nothing but consciousness in a particular name and form. This is essentially Vedanta. The fact about you can be only consciousness, because that is the unchanging element, unchanging constant factor, you can say, the constant through all the variables of life. Please see this, it's in your own experience. You were that little infant, that little baby, then you became the toddler, you became a teenager, then a young person, now middle age or getting on in years. The I is constant through all these experiences. Everything else has changed. Outer circumstances have changed, objects around you have changed, body has changed, mind has changed, but you know it's the same I. So a constant running through infinite variables. That is the real you. The unchanging element in you is always consciousness, awareness, and that is of the nature of absolute existence. So that is why the Upanishads tell us the nature of this world is not the same as the nature of this existence. That is why it is mithya. Mithya is a very technical term in Advaita Vedanta. It is difficult to understand. It means to say it has no independent existence apart from consciousness. That is what it means to say. Like, for example, like this table, this lectern. It has no independent existence apart from wood. There is nothing called a lectern apart from wood. Please see this. This is called Karana Drishti. If I see only the lectern as the only reality here, it is called Karya Drishti. If you look at the Karan Drishti, you will see the essential thing is wood here. The heart of the lectern is wood. If I bring down this lectern, wood will remain over. Wood in a particular name and form, I'm calling lectern, but I have given it an absolute identity in itself. So also you are only consciousness impersonating as a body mind complex, as Mr. So and so, Mrs. So and so, and I've given it absolute value. Look at an ordinary life. 50% of the life goes in building an identity, the other 50% in defending it. So, where is the time to ask, who am I? What is the unchanging reality about me? What remains over after the body falls, after the mind stops functioning? What is essentially I? This is what Vedanta is about. So now we understood 2 points. One is we understood that the truth about anything lies in consciousness. And this world of manifestation is name and form superimposed upon that reality. Hmm? Without bringing in emotion and commotion and too much thinking, see the clarity of their thought process. This is all I want you to observe in this particular talk. If you think very clearly in a yogic state of mind, you will arrive at Vedanta spontaneously. Even if you have not read it, if you have not heard anything about it, you will arrive at it because that's the fact about you. Now, we also, the second point which we studied was this world of manifestation is name and form superimposed on that reality. So, now superimposition is a big thing which has occurred to make me see the world as I'm seeing it, not as Brahman. And that's why we keep asking the question, isn't this a little, well, over the head? Isn't this a philosophy too high for us? Well, we are simple people. We mean to say, I am, well, my name and form is all important. This is what we mean to say. My identity is all important. Please don't question it. But if you see truly without any attachments, you will see this is the reality. And superimposition has occurred, which makes me feel that my name and form is something very real. That is the essential part of me. You know, in India, they used to change the names of girls when they were married. A number of young girls came and told me, we don't like it. You can't change our identity like that. So we have invested so much of our energy in what we are calling identity that at least we should scrutinize it intensely sometime in our life. What are we trying to defend and protect and build up? Superimposition, how does it occur? This is also an important thing to understand. You see, why do I invest so much reality in name and form and function? Because this is the nature of life. I am functioning through this instrumentation, so I have to give it reality. Consciousness is functioning through a body mind complex. So, body mind complex has become very important. Essentially, it has no independent existence. See, if I, this is a hard point to digest, but once you give enough thought to it, it will become very clear that independent existence belongs to nothing but consciousness. Any object is that object in my awareness. And due to my instrumentation, please see this. This is a lectern to you and me. To an ant moving there, this is not a lectern. Please, this is a mountain. If there was a cockroach here, he would see this as a pixelated barrier. To my senses, it's a lectern. To a bird flying there, if it saw this lectern, it would appear like a speck. To a tick, this hardly is something. To a bat, it is something else altogether because of its echolocative apparatus. So the point is this, given these five senses, this is a lectern. And in my awareness, it's a lectern. If I was given an extra sense, this would appear as something else. And without my awareness, I cannot even call it as wood. So essentially, it has no independent existence as a lectern. It is dependent upon my awareness to be perceived as a lectern. So it is mithya. This is the rational process, the logic of Vedanta, which tells you why Brahma Satyam Jagad Mithya. Once we understand this, see, all you have to do is give more thought to this, I'm telling you. Just now, you heard of it, you must dwell on it for some time, for a long time actually, for a few months maybe. And then this will appear crystal clear and pretty obvious. The obvious fact of human life is the truth of consciousness, is the truth of Brahman. But just now, mental activity is out of control. We have now not even thought of this. so far, and that is why it appears so difficult. It appears like a very hi-fi philosophy. So the essential thing is the training must happen here. The right perception must happen here, and I will see everything right on the outside. That's the point. The point is you must learn to wear those green glasses, not paint the world green. Many times people ask this question, well, the problems of the world are so overwhelming, the problems of our personal life, so many types of problems that we have no time to think like this. That's not the point. The point is, do I really want to know the unchanging I? Or am I happy with this investiture of that I into the thought process, into the world of manifestation? If I'm happy with that, well, continue. Don't worry about anything. If I'm not happy with that, if I have existential problems, fundamental questions about life which cannot be answered by just on the surface, then I need to penetrate into a philosophy like this, into Vedanta. And this is the picture it will give me. So then 3 points about Vedanta we just observed. One is the reality of Brahman, of consciousness. That alone is Sat, because that is Chit. Consciousness alone is Sat. And the unreality of this world of manifestation based only on name and form. The reality there is Brahman, not that the world is unreal. Its reality is Brahman. Name and form was a mistake. Isn't it? The reality here is wood. Merely seeing the lectern was a mistake. That's what they're trying to say. That's all. And superimposition has occurred. Name and form superimposition has occurred to such an extent that I am not able to see the reality of Brahman. So I am doing other philosophies, I'm thinking in other ways, and I am colliding against Vedanta. I'm doing all this. So, some level of discipline, acute thinking, Vedanta Vichar, existential inquiry has to be practiced in order to arrive at this. Now, from the Jnani's standpoint, from the man of realization, standpoint of the man of realization, because we are going to come to Thakur, how does he actually perceive? Don't let's not go straight to the world of manifestation, but to his own body also. How will he perceive? You know, the body to him is an abstraction. Just like how we say the Vedanta is an abstraction, he will say the body is an abstraction. How do you actually see the body? You are actually feeling only mentations, perceptions, memories, ideations going on in your head, in your mind. Where is the body? Where is body consciousness? But the tendency of the human mind is to give a kind of underlying reality to all this, underlying identity to all this. So I posit a body and equate it with my I, and I say, I am the body. This is no theory, this is what is happening in us. That is why you are not conscious of the body most of the time. So, for them, this tendency to find an underlying unity in such perceptions has gone. So, they give the body its place. It is actually a temple of your soul. It is not you. Please see this. Always you are perceiving it like that. You see, even thought belongs to you. Your affectionate feelings belong to you. Your fears belong to you. They are not you. But awareness cannot be said to belong to you. You are self aware, so there is the thought process. Essential thing about you is always awareness. Even thought can be objectified perfectly and studied objectively. And then you will see that the entire thing is an objective process. Other than the self, consciousness, everything is objective to you. I can give you a few clues here. Right now, you can think and see the truth of what they are trying to say. See, tell me, are you aware of your body or is the body aware of you? Answer me. This is an interactive session, Maharaj announced. Do you become aware of the body or does the body become aware of you? When you get up first thing in the morning, do you become aware of the body or the body becomes aware of you? You become aware of the body. Why doesn't the body become aware of you? Because awareness belongs to the subject. Please see this, it's in your own experience. You become aware of the body and through that aware of the objective world. Body does not become aware of you. The same unchanging I is always there, Everything is external to it. You pass through three states of experience every day. Another clue I am giving you. Three states you pass through: waking, dream, and deep sleep. Right? Now, let me put it very briefly. Waking state is when your senses are fully active, mind is fully active, right? And you're perceiving the world around you. Dream state is when the senses are closed. Please see this. Mind is active, especially the subconscious mind. It is cooking up a reality for you. And in your dream, you absolutely believe it. You know you were dreaming only when you get up. In the state of dream, it is absolute reality for you. It is waking. So, this is your condition in the dream state. You cook up a reality, you build up a reality and believe in it absolutely. You see, it is emerging from your own consciousness and you believe it absolutely. Then you pass into the deep sleep state every night. So, there senses are closed, mind also is closed. Yet you can know something. What do you know? What do you experience in that state? You don't experience the objective world, you don't experience sensations, but you know that you did not know anything. Now, unless you were there, how will you know that you did not know? How do you say that I did not perceive anything? Unless you were there, subliminal consciousness persists always. You had two experiences in that state. One is Sukhamaham Apswapsam Nakinchit Maya Vedesham. This is how the Upanishad puts it, which means you say, I slept very happily like a log and I did not know anything. So you must have been present to testify to this, isn't it? So you were very much present. So is it absence of experience or experience of absence? Tell me, deep sleep. If you were present, it is experience of absence. So you were present through all the three states and not as the waker, dreamer, or deep sleeper. There is an I in you which is completely separate from all these. You can trap this by the power of meditation or Vedanta Vichar. Logically, so many clues are there in your everyday experience. This is the last one which I told you. It is called the Mahatarka, the great logic of the Mandukya Upanishad. Why is it the great logic? Every day it is happening to you. But you have not studied it in this wise. As soon as you get up in the morning, you identify with the body and assume you are only that and jump into the world of objects and identify with them, and the meditation starts only along these lines. So then Vedanta appears to be something very hi-fi philosophy. Nothing like that. It's the reality about you. Existential inquiry directly leads to existential awareness. You were the witness of the waker. You saw the waking world and you interpreted it and you studied it. You created the dream and interpreted it for yourself and believed in it. And you were the deep sleeper also. The I, you can say, it's not that the three states passed over you, but the three states passed over you in a way. Not that you were identified as something particular. Please see this. So the point is this: you are always there. Everything else passes over you, as it were. You are the witness of your thought. You are the witness of the absence of thought. You can go into this state at any time. You are there watching the lack of thought in your mind. You know, when you go into a very beautiful, just now we were in Ocean Grove 2 days back, and there when we sat looking at the sunset or the sunrise, the thought process comes to a standstill naturally. So even when there is no thought in the mind, you are there. Awareness is there. You are the witness of the presence of thought. You are always the witness of the absence of thought. You are the witness of every mentation. You are the witness of every perception. You are the witness of your identifications. You are the witness of the commotion in your mind. You are the absence of, you are the witness of the Vedanta which we are doing also. You as Brahman always exist. That's why Brahman is always there. The point is to recognize, to see it by making Vedanta which are part and parcel of our life. not by considering it to be a theory. Occasionally, I will study it. Like Sunday class, I will come to the Vedanta Center of Washington and study it. Not like that. It is part and parcel. Every day it should hit me. Vedanta is something which will actually hit you if the mind is very clear. So, Vedanta naturally ushers you into the state of existential awareness. Knowing this, let us see how we have examples of this in Thakur's life. See, Sri Ramakrishna's, there are three photos of Sri Ramakrishna. All three photos have him in Samadhi. That was his perpetual state of mind. Please see this. How will you know a man unless you know his state of mind? Or rather, how will you know God unless you know his state of mind? Essential thing is to know what state that mind is in. It was perpetually in the state of Samadhi. And that is why he saw only Brahman. He saw this world of manifestation as Shakti, an emanation from Brahman. Essentially, Brahman itself, Brahman himself. There is this very beautiful incident in Thakur's life when he is just coming out of Samadhi. Let me tell you that incident here. Once M goes to Sri Ramakrishna's room, and Sri Ramakrishna is sitting on the larger cot. Many of you, I think, have been there, so you can imagine the scene. Thakur is sitting there in Samadhi, a picture of purity and holiness, radiating bliss. The whole face is lit up. He is, as it were, exuding light in all directions. And the bliss coming out of his face, and a few tears also coming out from his eyes. And M is simply stunned to see him. He quietly comes and sits at Thakur's feet. And he's watching Thakur. After a long time in that state, Thakur comes out of Samadhi. He comes out and then he opens his eyes. He becomes conscious of his surroundings. And he looks into M's eyes and he says, Jano Amiki Dekche, do you know what I am seeing? I see that it is Brahman alone that has become all this. He has become all this. This room is Brahman. This is Brahman. M sitting before him. This temple is Brahman. These leaves and plants and the Ganga, everything is Brahman alone, manifesting as multiplicity, as duality everywhere. But it is the same substance. Then he gives the example of that wax garden. It's there in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. He says, Jamun momer pata momer fool. If you make everything out of the same substance, suppose you make a model of wax, you make a garden and you make trees and fruits and leaves, everything of the same substance, wax. You have modeled everything out of wax. That is how Thakur is perceiving this world. He says, I see everything made up of that same wax. What is the wax there? Consciousness, Brahman, pure divine consciousness. Everything is made up of that same substance. It is appearing as a leaf, as a fruit, as a man, as a woman, as the temple, but same thing, essentially the same thing. You see, the unitary vision which Vedanta is speaking of is coming out every day in Thakur's life. You read the gospel acutely. You must read it with meditation, not lying on the bed and not like that. Read it in after your hours of meditation. You will see it is the Brahma Drishti that Thakur is seeing. Everything is the same substance manifesting in different forms and names. This is the common perception of all saints, no matter what path they follow. Whether you follow the path of bhakti or jnana or rajyog, karma yoga, anything, you will come to the same point. Mahapurush Maharaj's life, such a beautiful example is there. Mahapurush Maharaj was sitting in Belur Math. He was the president of the order after Raja Maharaj, and people were filing in a line to offer their pranams to him. And Mahapurush Maharaj was in a very deep, elevated state. Even his sevaks could not understand. He was bowing down to everybody. Bowing down to, it was Guru Purnima, so they were coming to bow down to him. Long queues, in Belur. They are coming to bow down to him, and Mahapurush Maharaj is bending down like this and bowing down to everybody. And then the sevak said, Maharaj, why are you doing this? You don't do this, and they are coming to bow down to you. You just sit like that. And Mahapurush Maharaj said, but I see Brahman everywhere. When they come close to me, I vaguely see some form. But it is consciousness itself. You see, this whole mass of consciousness is here. I am bowing down to that. This is Brahma Drishti. Right where we are seeing the world, they are seeing Brahman. Name and form, the superimposition of Maya that has occurred, is making us see this diversity. The essential thing is only Brahman. That is why Brahma Satyam Jagad Mithya. It is not a poetic statement. It is not a construct. It is the fact of life. Another incident, let me tell you, in Thakur's life, his mind perpetually dwelt in that state. Please see this, not that occasionally or with great effort. He was always in that state. You remember that incident when the doctor brought a microscope? Thakur expressed a childlike interest in a microscope. And so Dr. Bipin Bihari Ghosh, I think, he brought a microscope just to show Thakur in his room. And he brought it from the Kolkata Medical College and he placed it in front of Thakur. He adjusted it. A number of young disciples also were around. And then he invited Thakur to come and see. And Thakur said, not now. Then after some time he got up and he took a few steps. He came there. He turned back and went back. He said, not now. Then the doctor asked, why? And Thakur said, today my mind is not coming down. I will not be able to concentrate on an objective reality, what you are calling reality. I will not be able to bring my mind down to that. Today it is not coming down at all. And that day he could not see through the microscope at all. This was Thakur's state of mind. He used to say, to utter Om, I have to come down 100 steps. What is that state of mind? See, loving the man means loving that mind. And Thakur, once somebody asked Thakur, what do you feel in Samadhi? And Thakur said, see, will you understand if I say, if a fish confined to a pot was suddenly released into the waters of the Ganga, the Ganges, will you understand? Something like that you feel in Samadhi, a total liberation. So in Thakur's life, you find the best demonstration of the practical effect of Vedanta because the mind remained there. The mind was in that state constantly, perpetually. So many incidents are there. In fact, there are certain things which Thakur could not do because he was in that state of mind. Thakur could not do subtraction. It's something very interesting, right from childhood. See the avatar's mind, you can understand. Because what is subtraction or division? Removing something from the totality, isn't it? His mind could not do it. He's seeing something else. Once somebody closed an umbrella in front of Thakur, and he went into samadhi. Then when he came out of that, he was asked how he went into samadhi. And he said, withdraw, that closing of the umbrella reminded me of withdrawing the powers of the mind suddenly. And then one goes into the original state. Thakur hardly needed an excuse to go into samadhi. All the time in that state, just looking at the pose of Krishna, he goes into samadhi. Anything was enough, the slightest suggestion of divine things, and he was in samadhi. So he shows us that Vedanta is the actual fact about life, human existence. If you don't attach yourself to the reality of life, you will live in a self-created unreal world which you are calling practical. Most of it is self. In Vedanta, there is a very important concept. There is an Ishwar Srishti, there is a Jiva Srishti. Ishwar Srishti is a reality spread out before you as it is. It is the consciousness which is shining in every human being. That is Brahman. You are not that body, you are the light shining in your eyes. It is the light of awareness. Swamiji used to say, we worship that God who by the ignorant is called man. No books, no scriptures, no science can ever imagine the glory of that God who is called man. That is Brahman shining through everybody. In the human mind, it is more in the human personality, it is more perceptible because you have a mind which can touch that state. Consciousness reflects off a very pure mind, and so it is palpable. You can know it. And if we can't see human beings as that, and we want to see them as we want them to be, you are creating falsity and then trying to work your way out of it. And then saying Vedanta is a very strange philosophy. And so, little bit of this practice and this understanding must come into our lives. We come to the Vedanta Society of Greater Washington or whichever place. It means essentially we are Vedantins. We have this kind of a vision. We have caught the true spirit of Vedanta. And then we will work on it and see how we can come into our workaday life, in our everyday life. But you cannot be removed from the truth. Please see this. You live a false life if you do not acknowledge the truth. Vedanta is the very basis of Hinduism. Vedanta is the very heart of philosophy, Hindu philosophy. If that you do not catch it, the essential thing is missed. You know Thakur's famous example of that bale fruit? Hmm? There, at one point, he makes a very sharp observation. He has given that example many times in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And at one point, he says, you know, Brahman himself has become everything. And he himself manifests as this world of names and forms of manifestation. But if you want to know the essential thing, then he says the bale fruit. Let me give you this illustration. The bale fruit. If you want to know the essential part of the bale fruit, it is the flesh. But if you want to know the weight of the bale fruit, you have to take everything into consideration. The crust, the seeds, everything. But the essential thing is the flesh, he says. The essential thing about this world of manifestation is Brahman. If that is not understood, if that is not realized, essential point about life is gone. You have missed the point about human life. That is why Thakur says the only purpose of human life is the realization of God. Not bringing God down from anywhere. Realizing means He's already there. You realize it this moment. Realization means to know something which is already there. Brahman is always there. You mistook it for something else. Now we cleared our mind and we saw what is already there. Realization itself means this, and this is the very purpose of human life, Thakur says. We have just 5 more minutes before we start the question answers. Let me just tell you another illustration of Thakur, and we will conclude with the talk. See, you may naturally ask, many people understand, yes, Brahma Satyam, no doubt, but Jagan Mithya is a bit of a problem, isn't it? So, this problem, why is this world like this? Why this world of manifestation? Why at all? Practically, we put the question as well, I see this world, my family is there, my relationships are there, my job is there. How do I see the same thing in everything? And then how will I, actually, how will I deal with them? How will I handle them? Will all this come to an end? This is the question which people ask many times. You see, why is the world there? If Brahman is the only reality, why is the world there? Why did he create this world at all? Once somebody put this question to Raman Maharshi, why is the world there? And then he said, well, can you see your eyes? Can you see your eyes? You can see everything in this world but your eyes. You cannot see your eyes. What do you require to see your eyes? A mirror. A mirror can show you your eyes. So also, the world is the mirror where the eye sees itself. In the eyes of others, you should be able to see your awareness. You, not your awareness. That is the reality of life. The world is spread out before us so that you may recognize the same being in there, in all others. And that is why service. That is the purpose of this world of manifestation. To worship God in His manifold form. So if I cannot do that, And well, my policy is to run away from the world, or to ignore it, or to neglect it, or to put it down, or it is mithya. You, it won't work. The world is God. God pervades this entire world. Tat srishtva tadeva anupravishat is there in the Vedas. He pervades this entire thing. He is all that there is. You are seeing body and mind. That's your problem. So this unitary vision in some form must come into our lives. Thakur gives that beautiful example of Hari the lion. I'm sure you know the story. I won't go into the story. Yes, that lion cub which grew up with sheep and thought it was a sheep. Because it thought it was a sheep, it was behaving like a sheep. So what you think you are going to behave accordingly. So he absolutely assumed that he was a sheep because he was brought up by sheep, you know. And then one day another lion saw him, and he thought, what a disgrace to my family. Huh? This lion cub acting like a sheep. So I'll teach him a lesson. So when the sheep were not around, he pounced upon the lion cub and dragged him to the forest and told him, "You are not a sheep. You're a lion. How dare you behave like a sheep?" And the lion said, "No, I always thought I was a sheep. The problem is thinking. Please see this. I thought I was a sheep. I was never a sheep, but I thought I was a sheep. I thought I was just body and mind. This is the first thing we should understand. Please see this. First point that I should understand is I must change my ways of thinking. Coming to Thakur Ma Swamiji means this. A little identity crisis must come into our life. Who am I really? I am not going to assume things. And then he drags him. What does the bigger lion do? He drags the cub to a pond and shows him his face so that he understands superimposition, how it has occurred, adhyas. He shows him, see, you are a tiger, you are a lion, you are not a sheep. Please don't act like one. As soon as the lion cub sees that, he acknowledges Swaswarupa Darshan, encountering the real I within you. That is what they are speaking of. Some idea of who I actually am, how I am perceiving world, what is my relationship with this body and mind. It's just an instrument I'm using to function in this world, which has assumed infinite proportion in my mind. That's the problem. So this understanding that superimposition has occurred. I thought I was a sheep, but no, I'm understanding this. And then finally, what does the big lion do? Yes, he gets a piece of meat from somewhere and puts it into his mouth and says, "Taste this. You have been eating grass." Thakur says, eating grass is just chasing lust and lucre. And eating that bit of meat gave him the strength of, you know, blood. And he roared like a lion. So getting a taste for spiritual practice, Vedanta Vichar, existential inquiry, will give you a taste of your real being. That is the purpose of this story. Three things. Identity crisis. First, you must genuinely inquire. Then Vedanta starts, originally by yourself. And it's not a belief system, please see this. Second is Swaswarupa Darshan, understanding superimposition, how I'm functioning through this and identifying. It's a very silly thing that we are doing. And a taste for spiritual practice, which will actually condition you into this kind of thinking, this kind of experience. This, so don't ask me, how do I get there? All these procedures get you there. You simply understand you're a lion, that's all. There is no particular way in which you understand. You know, how do you perceive a joke? You just understand at that point. There's no particular procedure which will take you there. You just know. So also, you just know at a certain point if you have followed the proper procedure. And that is how Vedanta comes into our lives. Prakriyas are central even to Vedanta. What all we have been discussing is like a prakriya, it's a method. These are the methods. Clarity of thinking is to be brought about, and clear reflective processes, morning, evening, during your meditative practices, and a certain amount of calmness, meditation, bring it into our life, part of our life, and understanding them as they are, not as we want them to be. Hmm? Many times you see when you are unhappy, you want God to grant you happiness. When you feel unloved, you want love. If I'm content in myself, I will know Him as He is. He will give me reality as it is. And that is Vedanta. Not due to any lack on my part. So you are perceiving truth, reality, and Thakur as he is. So with this, let me conclude the talk. May Thakur, our devotion to Thakur, bring this knowledge into our lives. This is my prayer at his feet. Now we will start the question answer session. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, that's beautiful, yeah. Many times Thakur has said that Brahman and Shakti are one. Shakti in your life, what does it mean? Tell me. Now, don't tell me Mother Durga is Shakti. In your life, how do you perceive Shakti? Vedanta is to be applied to oneself. What is Shakti in your life? Energy, manifestation. Yes? Now, what Thakur is saying is the manifestation of life and the actual principle of life are one and the same. Consciousness and life are not two different things. Please see this. Life is consciousness. That is why some knowledge of what consciousness means will only augment life, the life process. More vitality it will bring into our being. Intellect will become brighter. Senses will become brighter. Your experience of life will be wholesome, complete, full. It is not about running away onto somewhere or from life. So Brahman and Shakti Abhed, Thakur always says. But you must awaken the divinity within. That's the essential point. If that is done, you understand life as it is. It is beautiful. Yes, 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 yes. Mm, yes, it's a very good question. How do we actually tackle the negativities of life if everything is Brahman? See, the point is qualities, whether goodness or badness or kindness or lack of kindness, all of these are occurring in the mind. Please see this. They are part and parcel of the human mind, mental process. Now, is the mind the man? After discussing Vedanta for so long, tell me, is the mind the man? No. There's something more fundamental to the mind. You know, if you study mind itself, the yogic sciences itself, you will see mind is mind because there's a foundation of awareness. If you bring the awareness to the forefront through spiritual practice, the pure mind leads to the pure Atman. This is the equation Thakur gave us, isn't it? So, the mind of a man can become impure. And that is why these negativities can come into the mind. But I need not equate him with that from my standpoint, isn't it? I must have a deeper vision. Like when our children commit some wrong, are we going to say, you are like this is your nature? We know it's a passing phase. It's so with every man, every human being. He passes through different facets of life. Temporarily, he is identified with it. It is never his nature. So Gandhiji used to say this, hate sin, not the sinner. Only a Vedantin can do this because he has perceived something more than the mind. Yes? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yes. You see, the path of bhakti is more easier because, tell me frankly, are we more intellectual or more emotional? More emotional. Usually, the human mind is more emotional by nature, so that is the path the mind will naturally take. So, if you have already taken that path, many of you I know are initiated, so follow that path. But that Thakur himself says, Advaita Jnana Anchale Bende Ja Icha Koro. So, some understanding of this background reality should be there. It may not be my path, but I should know something about it because that is the state of the being you are worshipping. That is his natural, normal state. So, an understanding of Advaita is important. But you must follow the path which appeals to you. As she said, Sharanagati, Bhakti. That is the natural path because we are emotional beings. And emotion is dominant in our mind, in many minds. Clarity of thought process may not be there, but emotion is very dominant. So then take up the path which appeals to you. What instantly appeals to you and what you can consistently do is your path. And do it. Yes. 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 Yeah, this is the common question actually. The thing is this, you see, the purpose of all these talks and these discussions and coming to the center and all this is, now you heard it, it leaves a impact on your mind. It leaves a sanskar. A long time of not getting into touch with these things, the sanskar still remains. So it will help you. It will just click in the mind at some point of time. But if you want it to become part and parcel of your life, all the time, then you must invest time and energy into it consciously. You must prioritize it in your life. Everything depends on this prioritization. You see, he is a spiritual aspirant who has made spiritual life his priority. Otherwise, it's just a supplement to my a kind of. Occasionally, I'm a bit curious. Recently somebody was asking me, "Well, I have tried so much, but I have not reached that level of yearning required for God realization." So I put it in very plain language. I told that person, please find out if you are wanting to want, do you want God or you are wanting to want? They are two different things. Most of us are wanting to want because we are fed up with the world. We know what it can give at the most. So we are a little, and then again those sanskars are there. So we are going back. All this we are trying, but the want itself is a totally different thing. If the want enters into our life, nothing else will matter. Nothing else will matter. That's what I'm calling prioritization. You will give most importance to spiritual practice because I want to feel the truth of this. That you can feel the truth of it only through spiritual practice. Please see this. We are using vichar as a tool, but it will usher you into a state of being, a very transcendental state of being. So it is possible if you commit your time and energy to it. That's the essential thing. Not that it stays impractical otherwise. It's not that. You see, reality is never impractical. Our mind will keep busy with many things. That's all. That is what will happen. One day again, like a bang, it hits you. You feel, I should be doing this. What am I doing? And then the process continues until these sanskars increase and dominate your life. And at some point, you really feel the need for God and the experience of God. And then you go forward in spiritual life. It's like that. Yes? Yes. Why? See, Mother gives the explanation to that. It's there in Mother's literature. She says he did not come to break down anything. In those days, they had fixed days to do fixed things, auspicious moments. Even now in India, they do all that. So he kept to that. You see, a person like Sri Ramakrishna is free to do anything, isn't it? But he kept to it. He kept to the local customs and traditions and everything and moved that way. He preferred to do that in this incarnation. Yes. Yes, you see, it's not possible to follow it all the time. Huh? Even in our case, it's like that. Many times you can't follow certain things. You can do is take the spirit of the thing. That is all. If you can't keep your commitments for spiritual practice on a particular day, then you do what is required, the minimum that is required, and then make up for it later. Something like this you can follow. Yes. The essential thing is to fast the mind. Doesn't matter if you don't fast the body, unless you want to lose weight. You must, the essential thing is to control the thought process. All sadhana is meant for that. Because if the mind is purified, you get the goal. Everything is meant for that. All these, as he was saying, whether I follow some particular ritual or not, I do some particular thing or not, what is its ultimate purpose? It was to condition my mind in a particular way. So I can use other means to condition it also. The essential thing is to get this clarity of the thought process, to purify the mind, to get his bhav in your mind, then you will understand him. That's the essential thing to do. Yes. Yeah, true. See, that is true. Mind, she asked the question on Shakti. Mind is all powerful. Mm. Mind is very powerful. To bring that mind to the feet of God, it requires the power of God. So it is only grace that clears the way. You can beg, at the most, beg for that grace. But don't think we can do it by ourselves. Even this Vedanta Charcha that we are, Madhusudan Saraswati, a great exponent, he's written Advaita Siddhi, great exponent of Advaita Vedanta. He says in one of his works, Ishvara Anugrahat Eva Pumsan Advaita Vasana. This feeling for Advaita, the intuition about the truth, oneness of all creation itself comes by the grace of God. Advaita Vasana itself comes as through God's grace. So the point is this: God's Thakur gives us one exceptional utterance, but which is very beautiful. He says, "Grace is always there. You set forth your sail," which means what? The whole problem is with our minds. Mind is untrained, and mind is unwilling, wanting to want. That's what we are doing. So we have not come to that point where spiritual realization becomes obvious thing. The what we can do in this state is Thakur himself demonstrates you pray intensely. If you pray intensely for grace, grace will simply descend upon you. Because prayer is something you cannot hoodwink yourself in prayer. You can do it in thinking, not in prayer. You are asking God for something. You will be absolutely sincere. The auto suggestion will be very powerful. So it's a direct path to God, prayer. In fact, we may talk of Advaita Vedanta, we use all paths in our lives. We use bhakti, we use prayer, we do worship, we do a lot of karma yoga, everything. Vivekananda recommended this, putting everything into practice. Yes, please. Yeah, can we make a harmony between physics and physical sciences and Vedanta? Harmony already exists. We must learn to perceive it, that's all. I will maybe after this thing we will. You can just meet me for a few minutes because I will tell you where we have. I work in IIT Delhi. There many times we have come to this, and a lot of harmony already exists. Unless you are very rigid or dogmatic about something, then you will not see the harmony. The Mundakopanishad says Brahma Vidya Sarva Vidya Pratishtham. This Brahma Vidya is a support, is a basis of all other knowledge. Because who's perceiving? How can you study an object without knowledge of the subject? Tell me. How you function, how you work, how you are seeing, how you are perceiving, what are the factors involved? Without knowing that, how do you know the truth of the objective knowledge? The two are not two different sciences. Please see this. Any perception is in your awareness. So you can find a harmony between the two. For that, we need a very scientific, analytical mind which is conditioned in Vedanta. And we are trying to do it in the IITs, and it's working. So you can meet me after this and I'll give you the links. Yes. Yes. Mm. Yes. 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 See, this what we are calling the self, the Atman, is Brahman. Atman and Brahman are not two different. You know that the Mahavakyas, that's the equation, they give the equation between Atman and Brahman. Atman is Brahman. Because I am talking of it from the standpoint of the mind, I am just now in the mind at the mental level. So I am perceiving two things. God is Brahman. Pardon? There is only God. Exactly. There is only God. God is pure consciousness in Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. You may have him as other beings, but essentially see their perception of themselves. Then you will know what he is. How was their perception of themselves? Yeah. Yes, you see, that awareness has to be first encountered in your system to understand what cosmic consciousness means. And that is why they use the term Atman and Brahman. But when you reach it, there's only one reality. Reality is only one. It appears as many. It's like that. Essential thing is, you see, you must begin from the beginning. Start from where you are. Follow the procedure. Follow the prakriyas. And you'll come to a point when it just flashes that this can be the only reality. If your mind is trained properly, even logically, you will arrive at reality. That's all. You arrive, not that you create the reality. Reality was always as it was. That's what happens. So it's a process of mind cleansing actually. Thakur says this in Gospel repeatedly. He gives the equation pure mind is equal to pure buddhi is equal to pure Atman. Somebody asked him, what is realization? Take bodhe bodh kara, he said. So it's very clear the path. Now we must do something about it. That's the thing. One of the best demonstrations of Vedanta, which we have been discussing, is that boatman incident in Thakur's life. You remember a boatman slapped another boatman on the Ganga, And Thakur at that point was in Samadhi, identified with all of creation. So he felt the slap on his face, on his back. He felt the slap on his back, and they saw that really like a red imprint had fallen on the back. Unity of all existence. It sort of translated like this in Thakur's life. So many such incidents are there in Thakur's life. So the one of some of the best demonstrations of Vedanta is only when you go and see their lives. The nature of the mind was like that, constantly. So shall we stop here? Time is up. We'll end the session. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Our great thanks to Mataji. These are very simple truths, but very difficult truths. Very deep and very obvious at the same time, but very difficult to explain. And she did it so clearly and so nicely and everything that really it was a wonderful opportunity to listen to her. So thank you, Mataji. They have agreed to have satsang tonight and tomorrow night also, both Mataji. So whoever would like to come after our evening arati and meditation, we'll have satsang and potluck dinner. So you can bring something if you like and stay for dinner also. A couple of announcements also. I mentioned earlier that they're trying to get raise subscriptions for the semi-annual English journal that's put out by Sharada Math called Samvid. And they have some very beautiful articles in it. Uh, our Pravrajika Divyanandaprana is put out from our Delhi center. So we have forms outside. You can give the money to us, and then we'll make one check for all of that. That'll be the simplest way. Then, if anyone else would like to make any type of donation to Sharada Math or any of the centers, Bhavani Pranaji is at our center in South India and Guntur. Uh, so you can just also make a check to the sender and write down if there's anything specific for it, and we'll also have one check that we can give for that. So don't hesitate to ask any of us if you have any suggestions or you want to give a check for that. Then also, we have our registration forms for our Labor Day weekend retreat. Swami Vanishanandaji will be conducting the retreat. That's Labor Day weekend. It'll be on the Sunday and Monday. So that's September 1st and September 2nd. We hold it here. We did it last year and people seem to like it. So the overnight space will be reserved for out-of-town people unless there's some room after that. They get the first shot. So if you want to fill out the forms, please note that there's a place to put that you require overnight, or you prefer overnight, or you're willing to just come during the day. And we'll try to accommodate as many people as possible. If we have some out-of-town people and we don't have space, we'll see if we can have local devotees to volunteer so that you can still attend the retreat. Then next Sunday, we have our own one-day meditation retreat. And please note that starts a little earlier. Try to get here around 10. We'll probably start around 10:15, and we have our 2 morning sessions. And then there's a sign-up sheet for sandwiches. Yeah, we have a very simple lunch, and then we have an afternoon session. So everyone is invited to come for that also. And anything else? Yeah, yeah. There'll be a closing song. I know that. Any other? So again, please join us in the basement. We should have enough food for lunch for everybody. And again, really a very sincere, heartfelt thanks to our two Matajis for coming and blessing our center and speaking so beautifully. Holy Mother and Swamiji and the Vedanta philosophy and everything was really a wonderful experience. And try to take advantage of the two remaining nights tonight and tomorrow night for satsang, and then they'll be leaving Tuesday. So we thank all of you for coming. We'll have one closing song. Huh? Yeah? What's that? No, that's okay. And then please join us in the basement.